When are you guys going to learn? When are you guys going to learn? Look at this here on Bitcoin. A crazy week. Huge moves to the upside, huge swings to the downside. This is the volatility which keeps stopping us from progressing on Bitcoin. And it always comes down to the same thing. Leverage, greed, and over-exuberance towards silly, superficial headlines, right? Look at this move to the upside here. Caused by, of course, the SEC losing their lawsuit. Yes, we get a nice pump to the upside. This pump is exaggerated by all the leverage longs. This pump shouldn't have been as big as this was, 5.64% in a day. But no, everybody wants to jump on with 50x longs. Everybody wants to jump on with 100x longs. But guess what? The market makers aren't dumb, right? They're not dumb. Look what they just did here. The next day, they take it straight back off of you. They liquidate you to the upside, they liquidate you to the downside, they win on both sides of the trades, and they take the trading fees too. You guys need to start taking this seriously. If you guys are serious about crypto, we were just having this chat in our Telegram community, which is free, by the way, ijaz.uk/TG. If you want to get involved in the discussions there, I reply back a lot in there as well. You got to have a plan. You guys have to have a plan. Why are you getting your short-term bags and long-term bags mixed up? As a first point, right? If you've got a long-term bag, keep that separate. If you've got conviction in a certain project, you want to hold it for many months, many years even, then hold that in a long-term bag. Don't get that mixed up with your trade. Your trade should have very clear stop losses, very clear take profits, and you've got your trading position set. One could not be the other. This is one of the mistakes I made when I was starting out in trading. I'd buy Bitcoin, take a long position. When the price moved against me, I'd be like, oh, it's okay, I'm holding Bitcoin for long anyway. No, my trade messed up. I should have taken my L. Can't get it mixed up with an investment. Two different things, guys. So, we're back where we started, right? We're back where we started, all because people are now upset that the SEC have delayed the spot Bitcoin ETF decision. What were you hoping for, right? They were always going to delay this. We spoke about this in previous videos. They're going to kick this can down the road as long as they can. Gary Gensler's not going to make a fool of himself, just like he's going to do with the Binance lawsuit and the Coinbase lawsuit. He's not going to let things go easily. He's going to keep fighting. This is what he stands for. The only way these things start to progress a lot quicker is if he gets removed, right? He gets fired, he gets replaced with another chair of the SEC. So everybody getting frustrated here, guess what you're doing? Your leverage longs and your leverage positions are getting you wrecked, and you just over the last 24 hours put another $130 million back in the pockets of the market makers because you got liquidated. And this is how they rinse you over time. But it's your fault. You've got to take accountability, right? Jumping in with FOMO, jumping out with fear. They know how to play on your emotions and they know how to shake you out. And I feel sad because if you guys have been here for the longest period of time here throughout this bear market and suddenly now you're getting shaken out of your coins which you've worked so hard to hold, that's not good. We're getting closer and closer to this halving. We're getting closer to an ETF approval. We're getting closer to the Fed finally pivoting, right, and starting to stop their rate hikes. The market, 88% is still pricing in the likelihood of a pause on September the 20th. We're closer to the final innings. Things will get better. We just had the fastest rate hike we've seen in a very long time, right? The Fed are not our friends. They've been increasing interest rates. They're tightening monetary policy. Inflation has been out of control, but finally is starting to come under a little bit of control, even though the figure kind of notched up yesterday a little bit from 4.1 to 4.2. We covered that off yesterday. We're getting there. The halving is coming. The bull market will be here soon. I have no doubt about that. I mean, this pump should remind you of the FOMO we had. One little bit of news, and look at the move we had on that day, 5.64%, followed by another 1.51. This should be a reminder of when the money flows in, it flows in quick, it flows in powerfully. So you don't want to be out of this asset class. But don't get liquidated, right? Do not get liquidated. And this is why you guys having leverage positions for your long bags just doesn't make sense. Imagine you sat there with a leverage position and now just because of this move to the downside, I mean, look, let's take this measured move, right? From the peak to the extremities, Bitcoin moved here by 9%. That could have liquidated you. You got these wicks could be liquidating you, messing you up, and then quickly move to the upside, and you're getting wrecked. That is why I don't play with that. I play with spot. I build up my bag, and I've got a long-term investment bag that I want to hold for long term. Any of my trades, I treat as short-term trades. Okay, so where are we sat here then? You can see here, 4-hourly chart, we've lost our EMA ribbon again. Great, that's not good, right? Because what we were hoping for was moving to here and then here. But the SEC's decision was very timely, right? To delay the spot ETFs, and they've thrown us to the downside. Fine, so we lost our 4-hourly EMA ribbon. More worrying, however, is we're getting rejected from our daily EMA ribbon. Just like we spoke about yesterday, moved into the daily EMA ribbon, and it was meaningless because we're just getting rejected. So now the bias, like I said in yesterday's video, continues to be to the downside. How long can we hold support around here? Right, with all this pressure coming downwards from the EMA ribbon, I've got to look for lower price points. I've got to look at 25. I've got to look at 24. I have to. I'd be silly not to look at those price points. And I've been telling you guys that. That is what I'm looking out for. If you look at here, this chart, which I was monitoring here, was the breakdown of this big rising wedge, right? We broke to the downside, and you can see the purple lines are the price points, right? Again, I'm expecting that 24.8 to come into play, and then even maybe coming down to the next pivot point, which brings you to a $20,000 Bitcoin. Now, I don't want to panic you and shout out other numbers, but the bottom of the wedge here falls all the way down to 16.4 range. So this is technically in play. I don't just shout out numbers for the sake of it. Based on this structure, right, you break down from this channel, you look at the first pivot point, you look at the second pivot point, you look at the third pivot point, all those price targets are in play, but first we've got to see if we breach the first one at 24.8. So that's what we're playing with here on Bitcoin. It is a bearish setup. We are beneath our EMA ribbon, same on the weekly chart as well. We've now, since closing under our weekly EMA ribbon, we've had another week here, and then another week. Now, the only positive sign so far, and we still got a couple of days here to trade before this weekly candle closes here on Bitcoin, is that they are doji candles. And if you've taken my TA course, ijaz.uk/TA, you will know that these doji candles can be signs of reversals, right? What it does show is that the bears aren't fully in control. If you look at the psychology of these candles, and again, we go into the details of the psychology. One of the things that I learned when trading TA from traditional finance when I was in investment banking was each candlestick tells you a story. Just like order flow, just like volume does, it tells you a story. And what's the story telling me now? The story telling me now is that the bears are in control, but they're not as much in control as you'd like to think, right? These big wicks to the upside show that the bulls did try to move to the upside, but they were put back in their case by the bears. But equally, the bears haven't been able to move to the downside. Otherwise, the bears would have continued to move to the wick of the candle 2 weeks ago, which was all the way at the low of 24.7. If the bears were completely having this in their way, they would have moved all the way down to 24.7 and started creating new lows and moving us to the downside. So we're at a bit of a stalemate here. And now we got to find out over the next kind of couple of days here, which direction are we going to head in? Because right now, crazy volatility, right? Tuesday was for us. Wednesday was a bit of a relaxation day. Thursday was for the bears. And now we need to see where do we stand. But the longer term trend, the daily trend, the weekly trend, all sits with the bears, which is exactly why my bias has to sit there. Then couple on top of that the fact that the dollar index is above its daily EMA ribbon. In fact, it bounced from its daily EMA ribbon is a worrying sign, right? The longer the dollar index continues its movement here to the upside, continues its trend here to the upside, it's going to be difficult for Bitcoin to capitalize. And like I said, the dollar index has now confirmed itself above its weekly EMA ribbon for the first time in a very long time. And the last time it did that, it was a painful period for Bitcoin where the dollar index went on an absolute tear. Remember, dollar index inversely correlated for crypto. If it goes on a run like this, that could spell pain, not just down to 20,000, but even lower for Bitcoin. So I've got to be prepared, okay? I've got to be prepared. Now, that does not mean I want to be out in the market, right? It does not mean I want to be out in the market. I'm in the market. I keep reminding you guys of that. My long-term positions are packed and loaded. I've got a little bit of cash, call it 10%, 12% on the sidelines, ready to buy the dip in case we get lower price points. I'll start nibbling around that 24.5. I'll nibble some more at 20,000. If we fall below 20,000, I'm going to try to scoop up as much as I can because we've proven that even with the FTX and the disaster and everything that was going on last year, Voyager, Sam Bankman-Fried, Celsius, Bitcoin fell to that kind of 15,500 level. So for me, I want to be allocating around that level, right? 20,000 is good, 19, 17,000 if we get it. That's my game plan. And again, guys, what's your game plan? Do you have a game plan? This is one of the problems, right? We're not taking accountability. We let Fridays go. We let each week kind of just flow into the next week, but we have no game plan. What is it you're trying to do in this market? Are you trying to trade? Are you trying to invest? Are you trying to do both? If so, keep them separate. And how are you educating yourself? How are you going to get better? This time next week, what are you going to know that you didn't know this week? Write it down. Message me in the Telegram and I'll hold you accountable too. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this update on a Friday. If you appreciate this type of content, smash on the likes. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.